Good afternoon and welcome back. Today we're going to take a look at the X-Files collector's set on Blu-ray and compare that with the original re-release of the X-Files on DVD. We'll look at the Blu-ray in a minute. In the meantime, we'll look at the DVDs. So the cases here are the original re-release from Fox back in the mid 2000s. Originally they were released in thicker digicases, and then eventually they were re-released at a cheaper price point in the smaller slimline cases. They are housed in a limited edition case. Basically at the time, if you got all 9 seasons, you could do a mail away for a box set to house them in, and this is the box you received. So you can see on the sides there is years at the bottom and a montage of various pictures, basically, and a lot of the pictures, if you can see it, I don't know if it's showing up well on the camera, are numbered. The box set is a timeline of events, and on the back of the case is a blurb of each of the key timeline events, which is a nice inclusion and is very different from anything which was released at retail. I've had this now for sort of probably about 15 years. It's all still in really good condition. I really like it. I love the spine art which Fox did for these releases. Each season kept a uniform approach of Scully at top and Mulder at the bottom, with the series name and season number central. I'll take them out and have a quick look at each of the cases. So first up we have season 1. As far as I'm aware, the re-releases are the exact same as the original releases, even in terms of design of the packaging. The original releases had the thicker spine art and front. They all had the same number of discs, same special features. This was literally just a re-release at a cheaper price point, which Fox started doing in the early 2000s, once they realised that £60–70 a season was not a sustainable model that people were willing to meet. So this season is 7 discs. Yes, 7 discs. And each has some really nice disc art. The 7th disc is included in a slipcase at the back of the insert. The insert was a booklet for the season. It contained a brief summary of the season at the beginning, and then details on the episodes. There was no blurb as to what the episode was about, but it confirmed the writers and directors, the original BBC air date. I'm assuming in the States it was the original US air date, and then scenes for each episode. also confirm the level of special features you would receive. And then the original broadcast order via the BBC. What's really interesting, or what I think is worth noting, is that actually there's a lot of special features here, especially for an older series and for a DVD release in the mid-noughties. A lot was taken here to release these in the loving and dedicated format. Something which I think you don't really see with today's TV shows or films for that matter. There seems to be a lack of time and attention put into releases, and they seem to be just done as quickly as possible. We now have season 2. Again, a 7-disc set. Again, some nice disc art for each disc. In the series. Disc 7 at the back. And more of the same again, a blurb for the season and a summary of each season. While it would have been nice to have a summary of the episodes, so you could quickly identify the plots, this is nice to see, and something you just don't get anymore. With any release now, it's printed on the inside of the DVD or the Blu-ray cover, and it's just a quick list of the episodes on what's disc. There's no time taken for details of the episodes or breakdown of scenes to easily identify. This was all done with real loving detail, as I said, whereas releases today are just as quick cash grab. That's something I'll note when we get to the Blu-ray release. Season 3. Again, 7 discs. Just quickly go through now all of the remaining seasons and quickly show the art and booklets for each of them, just so that there's a quick summary there. Season 4. Season 5, Season 5 being the midway point of the series, and what was originally going to be the actual final season of the show. This is a smaller season with only 20 episodes and 6 discs. I wouldn't know for certain, but I'm assuming the smaller season order was probably to allow time to film the movie and to reduce the stretch, because if I recall, I think Millennium was also taking off at around this point as well. So Chris Carter, the creator of the X-Files, would have had 2 seasons on play while also working on the movie. I quite like the season 5 booklet. You got sort of the black oil effect in the background for the pages, which was obviously a central mythology point in these earlier series, or seasons, sorry. Season 5 then led into the film. I will just get that out and we can have a quick look at that for prosperity as well. So here we have the X-Files movie on DVD, which was released as the special edition version. If I remember rightly, when this was originally released on VHS back in the day, you had the choice between getting the special edition and the theatrical version. I might be wrong on that, but I seem to remember my local video store having both. You have the poster art for the movie on the front. On the back, you have the standard plot points and a summary of the special features, which are fairly decent, I suppose, for a mid-90s film that wasn't released on DVD until sort of the noughties. There wouldn't have been the budget for special features that films get these days. And then inside you have the chapter points. Again, something you don't really see with DVDs or Blu-rays anymore is an actual chapter summary. And then we have the disc itself. Return back to the box set with Season 6. Season 6 is 22 episodes over 6 discs. I'm not sure, but I think 22, 21, yeah. So from this point on, the standard season order for the X-Files was sort of 22 episodes, which is what was the average season length for a series back in the late noughties, early 2000s. You know, in the days before we got 24 Lost, Heroes, you could expect a popular TV series to get 22 episodes for the season. Season 6 obviously picked up where the film left off and continued to explore the mythology that had been set up in the previous seasons, while also introducing newer aspects. You have a young Bryan Cranston there. I think it's quite easy to forget that he had quite a memorable role in this series. So move on to season 7, and I will say the one thing I would have liked for this box set is if there had been sufficient space left for inserting the X-Files movie into it. It's an odd one. I know other series like this where they have TV movies or films, there tends not to be a space to include said film into the packaging, which is a disappointment, but given the movie was such a central part of the series, it would have been nice to have had that extra inch in the packaging design to add the film to the case. Fox had to have thought that if they're getting sufficient interest in the series being collected to do a mail away for a box for it, that the fans doing said mail away would also be interested in having space to store the film. And it is just the one thing that's always bugged me over the years I've had this, solely because the film ends up having to sit on its own. I know we got the revival series later on, and we got the second film, but when these DVDs were released, there wasn't even talk of getting a second film. It was, the series was over and done with, and it had been confined to the archives of history. But yeah, it would have been nice. I do know that some of the later series re-releases did happen to include the film as part of the box set release, but equally some haven't, and as we'll come to see with the Blu-ray as well, there hasn't been space left for the films, which does surprise me a little. Down to the final two seasons with season 8. Season 8 is where David Duchovny stepped back from being a series regular, and Robert Patrick was brought in as Doggett. Robert Patrick being a superb actor in his own right, and in some ways it's a shame that he only got 2 seasons to work with what he was given. Now, I don't know the full details myself, but, and someone out there, correct me if I'm wrong, please. However, from what I understand, when Duchovny wanted to step back from being a series regular, there ended up being a lawsuit over it, and eventually the court ruled that Duchovny had to appear in X number of episodes this season. I think the episode number was about 11, 12-ish. And for me personally, that became the biggest problem for season 8 and season 9 as well, was that there was a lot of talk about Mulder and his impact, and the search for him, etc. which I feel really did impact on the season quality as a whole, because it was a constant reminder that Doggett's character, Robert Patrick, was filling someone else's shoes rather than being given the opportunity to be his own character. If they had succeeded in writing Mulder out properly at the beginning of season 8, or, you know, had been less talk about him, I think season 8 and 9 could have been far more successful than they were. And speaking of season 9, we now come to the final season of the original series. Season 9. The front changes to include Reyes this time. What's really nice is that Mulder for season 8 and season 9 was still included on the spine art, so you continue to maintain a theme throughout the box set, which is really nice. And something I think Fox did really well with their earlier DVD releases was that, you know, the cases were fairly similar to each other. They looked alike. You could sort of put them on your shelves and it would all look like the cases belonged to the same series. You know, a lot of shows didn't follow that track, and you were left with a hodgepodge of odd-looking discs and varying spine art. I think a big culprit for that was, I don't have them on the shelves, but was the DVD releases for Stargate and Stargate Atlantis. And so that is the original 9-season DVD re-releases in the slimline packaging with the limited edition mail away box. I was really happy to have that box set. It was nice. It was a really decent way of holding it, and to be honest, I've never seen anyone selling the complete set with this timeline box, so it's quite a unique part of the franchise's history. Also have a quick look at the event series and season 11, or no, season 10 and 11. By this time, Fox has obviously changed their spine arts quite considerably, and they don't even begin to match in the slightest bit. Yeah, I would have been quite happy for them to be plain. It's the small little season promo logos on the bottom which bug me, but you know, 20 odd years apart or whatever it was between season 9 and season 11, you couldn't expect there to be a uniformity between them. So we have what was season 10, or labelled as the event series. This was just 6 basic episodes. You got a ton of special features out for it, which was nice. sorry, you're going to have to ignore the case, it's the wrong one. But here's what I was talking about, is that instead of getting a booklet for the season, we instead got the summary on the inlay. So I'll just quickly show the disc art for each disc. And then you can see here we've got the inlay, which has got a picture of the eyeball and an X, and then the summary of each disc, just the episode names and lists of special features. As I mentioned, it just feels like a rush job. The quickest, cheapest way to get it out. There's no sort of love or attention put into the presentation of it. When I got this on DVD, there was no slipcase. Admittedly, I tossed the slipcases of all my shows, but there was no slipcase, whereas these originally came in slipcases. You obviously don't get a booklet or anything. The inlay is literally the summaries, which means you've got to remove the discs every time you're trying to search for one episode, and that bugs me on all shows to no end. Season 11, another 3-disc set for 10 episodes, making season 10 the shortest season, and season 11 being the final series. And here we don't even have artwork on the discs. They're literally just plain disc covers. This is definitely Fox's work rather than Disney. I can't remember what year Disney bought Fox. It was after this, I think. Must have been, yes, but even so, Disney's like a blue print on the disc, so while it would have been plain, it still would have been more than just the DVD itself. So that's a disappointment. And again, the episode's titles are literally just listed on the inlay, and you've got to remove the discs to see them. It's nice that there's actually a whole picture for the inlay rather than just a white background or something, but it's yeah, it's just the love and attention that was put into older releases you just don't get anymore, and that's a huge disappointment. So we'll now take a look at the collector set for season 11, for the Blu-rays box set. This is the season 1 to 9 box set, which was released a few years ago. I admittedly just got this. This was the original 9 seasons. The films were not included in this, which I always felt was something of a bit of a disappointment. I don't know if there was like a legality issue or what, different departments or what exactly, but it would have been nice to have had the films included in this. Especially since this set went to the trouble of leaving sufficient space for the event series. So it was future-proofing this box set to a certain extent. Obviously, we ended up with season 11, and at this time there was the possibility that it could have gone for more than 2 seasons that it did. But obviously that you can future-proof to the possibility of 5, 6 additional seasons. But the fact that it took as far as, hey, there is going to be, it was a nice touch. But as said, not including space for the films was an odd choice and a disappointing one at that. So here you can see you have the packaging label just sort of glued back on. Obviously the age of the glue started to mark the packaging insert, but it's the box set itself is nice. I've got a summary of the special features and a quick look of all the discs. Even goes as far to mention that there's going to be space for the upcoming event series. Yeah, there was some real effort taken into releasing this in a box set. It's really nice packaging. It's the thicker, hang on, I'm going to have to pause this while I take this apart. So as you can see, the box sets are held in some of the thicker card with a nice gloss cover to the artwork, rather than just being a flimsy cardboard box most box sets come in these days. Or, you know, as you can see in case of Star Trek The Next Generation, 7 seasons compressed into 2 DVD cases, which, while saving space, takes some of the magic away from having an entire series on DVD or Blu-ray or whatever. So on one side we have I Want to Believe, on the next The Truth Is Out There. You can see here that we've got the seasons housed in sort of rows with foam padding rather than sort of cardboard or something, an actual foam pad to make space for the event series. One thing that's disappointing is that while you've got space for the event series, being a slim line case, you're still left with that space, and sadly it's too small a space to fit season 11, so you can't actually fit all 11 seasons in here. It's but again, it was a nice touch on Fox's part. And then we have each season. So take these out and stack them side by side so you can see them. There we have the cases. I will return shortly with part 2 for the full summary of the Blu-rays. I'm breaking this up so that there's an easy break point to pick up the summary. Join me again for the second video. Thank you.